The other day I got an email from Netflix urging me to watch their new film, but I was too busy harbouring a simmering resentment for them after the last film they flung in front of me like an errant cock landing in a meringue that I had been looking forward to eating. A Super Bowl trailer and a tweetgasm later, and it was almost impossible to ignore. But I had been burnt twice before by Netflix original films, and wasn't about to let them trick me into opening J.J. Abrams' mystery box only to find it contained his dick embedded in a popular dessert pastry. But then yesterday a multi-dimensional being pinned me down and forced me to watch it like Malcolm in A Clockwork Orange, so here's your fucking review. The Cloverfield Paradox is the third film in the Cloverfield trilogy. Quick recap. Spoilers, by the way. Cloverfield was the Monster Attacks New York found footage movie that had so much shaky cam in it you vomited on that girl from work you like. The spiritual sequel, 10 Cloverfield Lane, was released as a surprise, announced only a few months before its release. It had Ramona Flowers, John Goodman, and Guy Number 3, all stuck in an underground bunker, while something we know not what was happening outside. It's monsters, right? We all guessed. Psych, the movie said, doing some young person gesture with its arms. It were aliens, and how we laughed a hearty laugh. And now Providence and Netflix have bestowed upon us Part 3, The Cloverfield Paradox. So what's it about? In 2020-something, the Earth is suffering from a devastating energy crisis, but one not so dire as to affect international space programs. They're living it large up there on the Cloverfield space station, with nice wide corridors, huge rooms and private quarters, TV, window thingies, artificial gravity, big spinning bits, and bits that spin a bit faster than the other spinning bits. It's very plush, but everyone on board is in a right mardy about it. Turns out they're in space to test some new energy reactor, and if it works, everyone on Earth will stop Mad Max cosplaying and chill the fuck out a bit. But sadly it doesn't work, so simmering tensions on Earth are reflected on the ship. Down there, Germany and Russia are saying terrible things about each other's mothers. So on the ship, the German scientist and the Russian technician have beef. Luckily, each character comes from a different country, with flag patches on their arms, so it's easy to tell who is who, because their names are mostly forgettable. There's Captain America, Russia and Ireland are the techies, China and Germany are the scientists, Brazil is the doctor, and our main protagonist, Britain. Britain, whose spaceship job is undefined, mostly mills about looking sad until the plot kicks in to give her something to do. This being the energy reactor, creating a singularity of JJ lens flares so dense they break reality, shunting the Cloverfield into a different dimension. In Dimension X, the Cloverfield Rochambeau's Cloverfield X into the ocean, sucks one of Crew X into its walls, comes to a stop on the far side of the sun just long enough to freak everyone out, and unleashes the Cloverfield monster on New York 20 years after the Cloverfield monster was unleashed on New York. Confused yet? Well, you're in good company, because the movie has about 40 minutes of people standing around looking confused to make you feel at home. Britain and Ireland have the best confused faces, so pause it whilst they're on, give the TV a hug, and take solace in the fact that you're not alone. But long story short, a load of people die, the woman from Crew X turns out to be a wrong'un, and they get back to a monster-infested Earth. Credits. The Cloverfield Paradox wasn't even supposed to be a Cloverfield film. It was originally called The God Particle, till JJ kidnapped it, locked it in his basement, psychologically tortured it, zapped its testes with 10,000 volts till it didn't know who or what the fuck it was, and agreed to be whatever JJ told it was, presumably as it wept past a ball gag. There, Cloverfield, said JJ, patting its head almost paternally. There. This isn't unheard of in film. 10 Cloverfield Lane was another example of an original film script arm wrestled to fit in a franchise, and that did okay. In fact, if you've written a middling action screenplay and fancy seeing it made, just rename the main character John McClane and you're in business. The Cloverfield Paradox, on the other hand, seems as if Paramount spelt a load of coin on a great cast and a sweet-looking spaceship, only to see the first cut of the film and realise that setting their own money on fire and pissing on the ashes would have been a better use of time. They panicked. Let's just call it a Cloverfield film, one exec cried. But it's not, said another. The first grabbed the second by the lapels. Damn it, man, I need solutions, not more problems. The two executives then started wrestling in front of an open fire. Meanwhile, the film got reworked with all the finesse of wearing heavy set gloves whilst trying to gaffer tape a duck to a slightly angrier duck. Firstly, an awkward let the news do all the exposition scene was inserted, explaining the monster-based ramifications of space science. All of said monstering is restricted to Earth, where Britain's husband, who is also British, but not in Britain, but considerably closer to Britain than Britain is hiding from that monster from the first movie. The monster plotline has sweet bugger all to do with the hoo-ha in space, so it might as well have been tossed altogether, leaving only the ship itself, which is called the Cloverfield, a name that no one on board says out loud, and it says Helios in a bunch of places, so make of that what you will. Some people have lauded the film for its sudden arrival on Netflix, sidestepping elitist film critics, a move some have even described as game-changing, because why can't a film just be entertaining? Why does everything have to be interstellar? And to a certain degree, I can see their point. Interstellar was confusing, and every time you criticise it, somewhere a film student dies. I'm a grown adult who indulges in Cartoon Network because I like colour and noise as much as the next bloke. I'd love to sit down and watch just a good movie, but the Cloverfield Paradox isn't just a good movie. It's an aggravating, lazy mess, like a magician who got bored halfway through a trick, flipped off the audience, then buggered off. Oh, how refreshing and game-changing. Isn't it nice to see how he's not pretentious like other magicians? This'll upset the establishment with its daring. Who the fuck are you? The thing is, there are some generally good ideas, but they don't go anywhere, like the filmmakers saw something shiny and wandered off. How does the reactor help people on Earth? Don't worry about it. Is the Russian going to go the thing on us? Nah, don't worry about it. Are people dying Final Destination style because Dimension X is rejecting their presence? No, don't worry about it. Let me get this straight. The Cloverfield and the Cloverfield X are not inhabiting the same space at the same time because the former backhanded the latter into the ocean. So why is any of this crazy shit happening? Why is the woman in the wall? Why can they access files from the Cloverfield X? Don't worry about it. Why did Captain America say that to jettison the damaged ring you'd need 3 people when it only took 1? Don't worry about it. Why do spaceship designers always require the door to be closed then put the jettison wheel on the wrong side of said door, requiring a character sacrifice? Don't worry about it. Who the fuck are any of these people? Seriously, don't worry about it. God damn it, Netflix. Do you want a bit of meringue?